performer, taken a couple classes with me. She actually didn't need to take classes from me. She's a thespian. She is an actor and a very good one, and a fine comedian as well. Please welcome Catherine Cushing.
You people back there. I recently turned 69. Woo!
Hey-o!
Yeah, I remember how funny that number used to be. Very sexy. Yeah. How sad, though, that I've reached the very pinnacle of sexy birthday numbers, but I'm no longer limber enough to enjoy it. 69. Sounds kind of old. You know, even if 50 is the new 40 and 60 is the new 50, that still makes almost 70 just the new 60, which is kind of old. But here I am, up here, yay, living the dream. Finding my passion. Yeah, some might say inspirational. I might get a story written about me in Selwood Bee. Others might say I waited too fucking long to follow my dream. I could be dead at any minute. You know, and if I really want to succeed at stand-up, which I think would be fun, you know, I'll need at least a year or two of classes and workshops with Carl here, thank you. After that, you know, free gigs, open mics, dropping in at the neighbor's barbecue, rolling out the latest 10 minutes or so. After that, another 3 or 4 years of opening for regional comics, maybe second or third billing on one of those cheap cruises to Mexico. But by then, maybe somebody has noticed. You know, I've put in the work, I've paid my dues, maybe got invited to a late night show or two, and shit. By my calculations, I'll be pushing 80 before I'm even close to my Netflix special. Heck, by then, the only job I'll be qualified for is president. I have a lot of sympathy, though, for President Biden now that I am an honored citizen. And yes, you may call me Your Honor. Yeah, I've learned a lot about aging. You know, I recently learned that mild cognitive impairment is different than dementia and also different from normal aging. So for example, normal aging is you forget where you put your glasses. Mild cognitive impairment is you forget you left your glasses in the refrigerator. Dementia is you forget where your glasses are. Now, I don't really see how helpful these distinctions are because in the end, the result is the same. You don't have your glasses. I just ask my spouse. I often don't have my glasses. I don't think I've left them in the refrigerator, but would I know or even remember? Anyway, where's my glasses?
They're on top of your head.
Oh. Yeah. Speaking of memory issues, anybody remember Kennedy's brainworm?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Huh. Well, the pace of politics is so blisteringly fast now that even 34 felonies are forgotten in days, maybe hours. To say nothing of the $4 to $5 million Trump owes E. Jean Carroll for sexual abuse and defamation. You know, I thought that brainworm would have kept our attention for at least a week. But since the brainworm, we had the felonies, we had the disastrous debate, we had the Democratic arm wrestling over Biden's confidence. We have the assassination attempt. We have an entirely new presidential candidate. Oh, and did you know that ear bit that got shot off, it's being saved as a relic at Mar-a-Lago. Well, it didn't take him very long to go after Kamala, though, right? Yeah, critics are saying she has a laugh like a horse. Well, I don't know, just me personally. I'd rather have a horse's laugh in the White House than a horse's ass. Yeah, well, while we're on politics, you know, a while ago, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that embryos have the same rights as children. So does this mean that embryos are going to qualify their parents for a tax deduction? Are they going to get WIC benefits? Are we going to have to pay extra to get our embryos into the movies? Can they sit on our laps in the airplane? And what about those murder mystery parties? Can an embryo be the corpse? Or better yet, the murderer? Did the embryo mustered in the conservatory with the club? No, I really don't think the Republicans have thought this through. You know, they're denying benefits to children right and left. Are they going to deny benefits to embryos too? Are the embryos going to have to pull themselves up by their little itty boot straps? And what about when those frozen embryos turn 18? Do they get the right to vote? How is this going to affect the current political climate? Will they remain loyal to the right wing or defect to the liberal elite? Yeah, what about those frozen embryos? There are about 1.5 million embryos in the deep freeze right now in America, and only about 238,000 women currently undergoing IVF. That makes about 6 embryos per woman. Whew, yikes. They have to call us grannies in to save the day. But would implanting an embryo into this withered womb be considered a child of embryo abuse? Would eating Pop-Tarts and Cheetos and drinking Diet Coke be considered embryo abuse? And men, you know what's coming, right? In the immortal words of Monty Python, every sperm is sacred. Yeah. And anyway, do we really want all these extra children? No, parenting is hard now. I mean, it used to be parents would open up the door after breakfast, shoo the kids out, and say, be home in time for dinner. My spouse's mom, she raised 7 kids by herself. Everyone asks, how'd she do it? Well, I know how she did it. She opened the door and she booted them out. It's a lot easier to raise kids when you don't know where they are for 10 hours a day. The parents now, they know where their kids are every single minute of every single day. Carefully curated play dates, approved activities on the hour, every hour. They should just have those baby monitors strapped to their forehead. I call it over-functioning, and it's exhausting. Just watching my kid's parent requires a bacon maple donut and a nap after. Do you guys remember that horrible case, that young man, Brian Landry? He murdered his girlfriend, and then he disappeared for a while, and he turned up dead himself. I know, terrible case. In his backpack was a letter labeled, "Burn after reading," written by, his mom, in which she said, honey, I love you, and if you need help, I will be there with garbage bags and a shovel. Over-functioning. Good. No, when kids are little, over-functioning is the right thing to do. You make their meals, you clean up their shit, you complete the occasional science project or essay. It's the right thing to do. But then they grow up and those habits are hard to change. You know, kid comes home from college, you make him his favorite dinner, you do his laundry, you fold it. It's still in balance. But then, all of a sudden, they're 40 years old, and grown-ass men and women, and the boundaries have got to shift. Even if he comes to you pleading with those grown-ass puppy dog eyes, you must simply say no to burying his slain girlfriend. Boundaries, people. Yeah. Excuse me. Maybe we should lighten it up a little bit. Yeah. Have you noticed that the really, really rich guys all want to go to space? I mean, I don't mean the fake rich guys like Trump, you know. Those guys, they're scaredy cats, those Trump types. They're not going to go to space. You can't mismanage your holdings or cheat on your taxes for space. But the really rich guys, they are completely into who has the biggest rocket. And they just love shooting off, if you know what I mean. I just wonder, what do they think they're going to find up there? I mean, an Armageddon planet-destroying asteroid kind of thing, or aliens, or orbiting Teslas? I've been trying to understand why people want to contact aliens. I think they're envisioning sort of an ET kind of situation, you know, sort of cute, bug-eyed alien who could converse with a 6-year-old after only a couple of days. I would like to point out that we humans have been sharing this planet with other sentient beings for our entire time here as Homo sapiens, about 200,000 years or so, and we have not been able to talk with a single one of them. Yes, I know. We know when our dogs want to go out. But have any of you ever had a meaningful conversation about interspecies friendship with your dog? I didn't think so. No. Yeah, well, excuse me, it's very dry up here. I think they forgot the humidifier, Carl.
Trump!
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess by now it's pretty obvious. I'm not going to be up here telling any racially or ethnically inspired jokes. I mean, look at me. No Jewish jokes, no Catholic jokes either. I'm an atheist, it's just not very funny. Yeah, what are you going to do? Well, you know, and I get that. It's wrong to use somebody else's ethnicity or race or culture to beef up my own stand-up act. But what I don't think people understand is it puts me at a huge disadvantage. I mean, what's my culture? Well, there's that salad where you mix Cool Whip and Jell-O. That's my cultural heritage. Or Frito pie. Delicious, but Frito pie. Yeah, my roots go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where people are hospitable and friendly unless you disagree with their God-given, constitutionally protected right to carry guns to Sunday school. But other than that, you know, pretty dull. Where are my idioms? My jokes at my people's expense. I have Cool Whip salad and Frito pie. Yeah, Oklahoma, that's where I grew up. Not a ton of nice things to say about the state. They're putting themselves on the map right now by refusing federal funding to feed kids lunch during the summer. Classy move. Where will they get their Frito pie? But what we did have in Oklahoma was fluoride in the water, which is why I have such great teeth. We don't have fluoride here in Oregon. No, the anti-fluoride people are very, very concerned about putting chemicals into their bodies, which are temples and all. And I know my education in my home state may not have been the best, but aren't there a bunch of chemicals in kombucha? Yeah, those anti-fluoride people, though, they haven't really gotten their issue up into national prominence yet. You want to know how your issue has made it? Get your own presidential candidate. Yeah, back before the Christian hard right became mainstream, they had good old Pat Robertson running for president. Progressives got Bernie, Elizabeth Warren. You guys remember Marianne Williamson? Just the woo-woo community candidate. The anti-vaxxers bagged themselves a Kennedy. I thought they would have been done by now, seeing how vaccines just recently saved humanity from a Mad Max dystopia sort of situation. But no, they're running for president with a brain worm. We were worried about Biden's mild cognitive impairment. Where are my glasses?
It's on your head.
Oh. Yep. Hey, it's summer. Does everybody love summer? Time for that perennial, unanswerable question. Why thongs? Are tan buns really that important? Do they get shown off a lot? In my experience, about 90% of the people who are exposing their buttocks do not have the sorts of buttocks one really wants to see. Now, back where I come from, thongs are shoes for feet, foot floss.
Yeah.
Now, thongs are floss for the butt. I have enough trouble keeping my teeth flossed. Yeah. And I'm sorry, what about you men? I don't see any of you men out there wearing thongs, and you gay guys at pool parties, you don't count here, okay? Young women, I say refuse to put that thong back on until all these men agree to wear them too. I think I've just found the next feminist issue. You're welcome. So, I'm a lesbian. Yeah. Thought you might want to know. I wasn't always a lesbian. In fact, I was voted by my high school class least likely to become a lesbian. But here we are. We have a lovely spouse here, almost 30 years. She went on a trip a while ago. She was gone about a week. By the third day, I was dug in on the couch, eating Pop-Tarts and Cheetos, drinking Diet Coke, binge watching all creatures small and dull. Yeah, and don't try to tell me that you keep the same routine when your spouse goes. Guys, we all know what you do. Women, we have a different approach. Whatever takes absolutely no effort, physically, intellectually, emotionally, especially emotionally, that's what we do when you're gone. Sloth porn. Yeah. Yeah, I've had quite the lesbian learning curve this last 30-some years. There are a lot of rules, okay? Oh, here's a fun one. Here's a fun fact for all you straight people. Did you know that lesbians are often friends with their exes? It's true, it's a thing. It's a thing. In fact, you're kind of shunned if you aren't friends with at least one or two of your exes. Yeah. Which means that lesbian potlucks, also a thing, are just brimming with slightly uncomfortable conversations that aren't quite happening. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, and I admit, it kind of throws me. It's dry in here, Carl. Where's the humidifier? Trump. Right. Kind of throws me as a former straight woman. Yeah, back in my former life, if you had enough built up, pissed off resentment to separate or divorce, friendship was not an option. No, I have an ex-husband. We are not friends. In fact, my favorite thing to do, one of my favorite things to do, is to trash him behind his back. Now, don't get your knickers in a twist. I didn't do it when the kids were little, but they're in their 40s now, and it's all back on the table. He is the stereotypically financially comfortable old white guy. He moved to Scottsdale. He has an unearthly tan. He married his fourth wife, who is only marginally older than his daughters. We call her Mimo. Yeah. In fact, one of those daughters recently sent me a video of him practicing a ballroom dance routine. A couple of hotties in gold lame. He was wearing sweatpants. Yeah. I couldn't make as much fun of it as I wanted though, because that video arrived on the same day as my last stand-up comedy showcase here with Carl. We are just two old boomers living the dream, finding our passion. Yeah. Have you noticed that the older boomers get, the more elaborate their travel plans? Yeah, people who were perfectly content camping on a lake on Mount Hood, turn 75, and all of a sudden they're going to Sri Lanka? I cannot count the number of oldsters who are flying to Iceland to stand at the foot of erupting volcanoes, and they think that's the right thing to do? Oh, I don't know. Does it mean we oldsters don't fear death? Or we just want to go out in a splashy way? But, you know, in the ultimate boomer move, I've gone vegetarian. Not vegan, that's a food too far. But I'm not eating meat. Yeah. What that means is I'm eating things like black bean bake, tofu scramble. I tried chicken nuggets the other day. Working up to burgers. Yeah, I can't say any of it's too tasty, but at least I'm living, or not eating my values. I am becoming very pure, though. Pretty soon I'm going to be one of those lesbians with long flowing gray hair, clear eyes, wearing a rainbow-colored caftan, and a lot of chunky turquoise jewelry. I'll be treating my body like a tub. Yes. And drinking lots of kombucha. Yeah, I can see it now. I'll be doing yoga on a deck overlooking the river. When I see it, a flotilla of men drifting by, all with perfectly tanned